Hello everyone, I'm Esther from University of Sumatera Utara. In this video, I'm gonna make a presentation for the subject English Phonology. And for my presentation, I will choose the title English Consonant. English Consonant. What is consonant in English? Actually, in English, there are two types of sound. Number one is vowel, and number two is consonant. So what is the difference between them? The main thing that differentiated the vowel and the consonant is obstruction, which consonant is a sound with obstruction and vowel is a sound without obstruction. And in my presentation, I'm just focused on English consonant. As I told just now, English consonant is a sound with obstruction. So, what is obstruction? Obstruction is something that obstructs the airstream from your mouth. For example, the sound p, p. To produce this sound, your upper lip and your lower lip approach or touch each other, and they obstruct the airstream to go out from your mouth. That's we call obstruction. And now I will explain about the consonant. What makes one consonant different to another? Actually, in phonology, we classify consonant along three major dimensions. Number one is place of articulation. Number two is manner of articulation. And number three is voicing of articulation. The place of articulation dimension explains where in the vocal tract the constriction is. Number one is bilabial. In a bilabial consonant, the lower and the upper lips approach or touch each other. The example of this consonant is in the sound p and b. For example, in the word stop, stop, and in the word baby, baby. Number two is labiodental. In a labiodental consonant, the lower lip approach or touch the upper teeth. The example of this sound is in the sound f, as in the word fun, fine, coffee. Number three is dental. In a dental consonant, the tip or blade of the tongue approach or touch the upper teeth. The example of this sound is the, as in the word thank, thank. Number four is in an alveolar ridge. No, I mean number four is alveolar. In an alveolar consonant, the tongue tip or the less often the tongue blade approach or touch the alveolar ridge. The ridge immediately behind the upper teeth. The example of the sound is the sound d, as in the word doll, bird, bird. And next is post-alveolar. In a post-alveolar consonant, the constriction is made immediately behind the alveolar ridge. The construction can be made with either the tip or the blade of the tongue. The example of this sound is sh, sh, as in the word ship, option. And next is retroflex. In a retroflex consonant, the tongue tip is curled backward in the mouth. The tongue tip is curled up toward the post-alveolar region. The example of the sound is as in the word rush, rush, rabbit, rabbit. And next is palatal. In a palatal consonant, the body of the tongue approach or touch the hard palate. For example, the sound yeah, yeah, with as yes. And next is velar. In a velar consonant, the body of the tongue approach or touch the soft palate or velum. The example of the sound is in the sound k, k, as in the word king, king. And the last but not the least is the glottis. The glottal. The glottis is the opening between the vocal folds. Manners of articulation. Number 1 is stops. A stop consonant completely cuts off the airflow through the mouth, and the tongue tip touch the alveolar ridge and cuts off the airflow at that point. Number 2 is fricatives. If in the stop the tongue tip touch the alveolar ridge and cuts off the airflow, then in the fricative consonant, the articulators involved in the constriction approach get close enough to each other to create a turbulent airstream. And number 3 is approximates. In an approximant, the articulator involved in the constructions are farther apart still than they are for a fricative. The articulator are still closer to each other than when the vocal tract is in its natural position, but they are not even close enough to cause the air passing between them to become turbulent. And next is affricate. An affricate is a single sound composed of a stop portion and a fricative portion. And the last is laterals. In the laterals, the sounds which involve airflow around the side of the tongue, it's called laterals. Voicing. The voicing parameter specifies whether the vocal folds are vibrating, and we call this process voicing. Sounds which are made with vocal fold vibration are said to be voiced, and sounds made without vocal fold vibration are said to be voiceless. I think that's all about my presentation. Thank you.